to the Talking News. And yes, I am still without a mic. I apologize. Please don't forget to subscribe and like and hit the notification bell. If you would like notifications, just remember that, I'm working on getting a mic. I do have funds in there to at least buy a mic right now. I'm just researching it. So we're going to be talking about the Mackenzie case. We have some new information on AJ. I didn't want to do this, but I knew you guys might want this information, so I took the time to put it together for you. So we knew that this guy had some kind of bones in the closet, right? He had some skeletons in the closet. And let me tell you what, guys, we're finding out there's a cemetery in that closet. And I know as soon as I finish this video, there's going to be even more. But that is good news, isn't it? Because Mackenzie she deserves the justice. And I hope her family gets that justice to the full extent. And not to mention the few women that have been in contact with him, which we're about to talk about. He thought he got away with terrorizing these women. And maybe now these women too can see justice. And I am very proud of his wife for coming out in the public and speaking. So let me go ahead and mention his affiliation within the United States. How he was working, how he made friends, his objectives, his ideas, his agendas. Let's go through some of that. Now, before we get started, Mackenzie was a Mormon, so that you know, which is very interesting to me, and you're about to see why. So AJ somehow got connected, which I think we'll read in a second how, to Dill, which then was a missionary on the campus of Utah State University. Says that AJ was new to this country and showed great enthusiasm for the teachings of the Mormon Church. And so he says, quote, not being from the United States, not knowing English too well, I think it was great to have some instant friends. People were really nice to him, Dill says. Yet he continues to say, quote, I hope I wasn't naive, I really do feel like he was a genuine person, end quote, he says. And I have to say to you, Dill, a lot of people are having this issue. In fact, today, a few friends of mine were dealing with the fact that they thought they were dealing with good people and they were doing good deeds, only to find out that they weren't good people. And it's hard to tell who is real and who isn't these days. Now, the article continues to say that when the headlines first appeared with AJ's name connected to the missing 23-year-old Mackenzie Lewick, Dill couldn't understand it. Quote, I just can't imagine him ever doing anything like this, end quote. It says here his name is Logan instead of Dill. And he says, he knew AJ simply as, quote, Joy, end quote, Joy, during their time together in North Utah. He says it's harder to say his name, so we just wanted to pick an easy American name, so Joy, he said. The two men were friends during AJ's early days in the LDS community, but Dill returned to his native Oklahoma at the end of the 2-year mission, and eventually the two lost touch. They lost communication in 2012. Quote, because I was the missionary, for the church that was there for his conversion, I have so many regrets. I wish I've kept in better contact, end quote, he said. He's incredibly saddened by Lewick's death and the possibility his friend could be responsible. He struggled for words for Lewick's family. He said, I would say to them, I'm sorry for having so many good things to say about Joy because that's the person I knew, end quote, he said. Quote, I really would like to figure out, what fork in the road what decision he made that pretty much took him like 180 degrees, end quote. Okay, guys, y'all got to stop using that like. I'm seeing it so often now. But yeah, he's saying, what he's seen in this guy was good. But then again, I can tell you some story on some Mormons, but not all Mormons are like this. Mind you, I'm not saying all Mormons are like this. I was actually attending an LDS church for a short period of time, and I can tell you there are some very crazy people within the good. And I think that's with any religion. So, but anyways, continuing on, he really didn't see any warnings. But this is, at least we're getting some backstory to the guy. Okay, so now we're back in Logan, Utah. Now, remember, he's supposed to be married, but they say that AJ was banned from Utah State University campus back in 2012 after an arrest for possession of stolen property and a series of conflicting and misleading statements about the housing situation and immigration status. Okay, so documents secured under the public records request show that AJ was banned August 2nd of 2012 in a letter sent by the school officials, and this according to this article. So, quote, "It has come to my attention that you are currently out of status with the United States of America Immigration Services and are in the U.S. illegally," end quote. The letter begins, quote, "Due to your current status, and also because of the recent charges filed by the Utah State University Police, your status has become more complicated," end quote. And so I do want to throw something in here. So when you hear Donald Trump or other people speaking about stronger borders, this is why. It has nothing to do about being racist. It's about the cartel and the gangs that you guys just, if you don't live in those areas, you don't realize, and the numbers are huge. But continuing with the story, it says, while AJ was arrested for possession of stolen property by the USU police, former charges in that case did not appear in the search public records. The letter went on to say that AJ had no reason to be on campus after the expiration of his relationship with the USU international students and scholars, and that if he returned to the campus for any reason, he would need to call ahead and be escorted by police during his visits. Now, records from the campus police department said they first ran into AJ when he was sleeping on the couch on campus. Police wrote that he lied about his status at the school and the existence of a girlfriend who lived on campus, and they suspected he was homeless and using the facilities on the USU campus. Investigators ultimately learned that his student visa was expired and wrote that if he should be arrested on campus again, the ICE should be notified. In my opinion, they should have been notified anyways. So AJ was later found in possession of an iPad that was stolen from the professor's classroom. Police said AJ claimed his mother had sent it to him and he didn't even know how to use it. But police said AJ had been affiliated with a gaming team and was as well as versed on such electronics. In several encounters with police officers in an office, AJ would give conflicting or non-essential statements about where he lived. So basically everything that he said to the police, any future plans, his status with immigration, etc., they were always constantly, they didn't make sense and they were complete lies. And so this is why I'm saying I don't understand how in the world he was able to buy a home in America with such a very active background. So here you have a guy that was supposedly in, well, ex-Army IT specialist. So does this make sense? So he's married as well, we find out. So once police figure out what happened to Mackenzie, Tanisha Jenkins comes out of the shadows and said she was forced to flee her marriage to AJ, and she comes out with a horrendous story. She says she's still legally married to him, but the pair haven't seen each other in years. Tanisha went into hiding and changed her number because of his violence. She claims that, he attacked her with a butcher's knife and also threatened her. The breaking point came when he threatened to, take her life if she didn't move to Utah with him. Tanisha even has photos of the incident she claimed that happened. So right before he's accused of stealing on the campus and meeting the Mormon missionary, he had married Tanisha in June 2011. Tanisha said that she was actually introduced to him by her grandmother. And Tanisha asked her grandmother, said, is he crazy? Is he going to hurt anybody? Is he a good person? But she found out pretty quickly. She said at first she liked him, and he would buy him clothes and, and do stuff for them. So was he, I guess he was in the military during that time. But here we are at 2012, he was homeless in Utah. Or maybe he wasn't homeless. Maybe he was using Utah as a way to get closer to the young girls. The campus, to get closer to the young girls. I hope police look deep into his backstory. So in 2011, he was in Dallas getting married to Tanisha. Okay, now Tanisha tells us, and I've got some videos uploaded on his wife if you want to look at that one. Daily Mail also has this story. It said the last time she seen her estranged husband was at a friend's house in Dallas where they tried to grab her. And when I went to run, she said he blocked the door. She says she ended up jumping through the window and cutting her arm on the glass. He was chasing her with, with a butcher's knife. She says she had to move out of that apartment so he could not find her. She was very afraid for her life. But I still say I believe this marriage was some sort of arrangement so that he could become a citizen. But what I want to know is, how in the world was he in the military? I haven't been able to get that background yet, but I will work on it. It's just not right. But her story isn't the only story we would hear about. We would actually hear from yet another woman witness. So a second woman come forward and said that AJ had tried rape her. I guess she was gonna, I have to get more information on this one for you guys because I just ran out of time today, but I guess she was gonna press charges but decided not to press charges. And then after hearing how the first wife said that he had actually threatened her, maybe he did the same for this girl. And I'm sure we will hear more on this later. Now, later we find out, we find out when Mackenzie goes missing, when she flies to Salt Lake City, gets off the plane. Mackenzie takes a lift car to meet somebody at the Hatch Park, where we find out she is dropped off and then takes another car to an Airbnb home. And police were able to find out these things through the digital history. So needless to say, they tried to pull the security cameras at the Hatch Park to find out that they were duds. They weren't even real. We find out that AJ at one point lived across the street from this park, so he knew there was, no security cameras there. So who is AJ? So AJ claims to be an IT specialist and a model. He once wrote a novel about, which was kind of a mystery murder type novel, and that novel, I can't get my hands on it right now, but I've read a few pages and it's quite sick. But my curiosity is, how the heck did he join the Army National Guard? He never attended training, according to a military spokesman. So he began studying computer science at Utah State University, but never graduated college, records show. So, I mean, we've got to start tightening our security in America, guys. We have to. We're not trying to make it impossible for people to become Americans, but we do need to make it impossible for people to take advantage of Americans. We need to do it the right way anyway. So I want to make sure I got this straight. So it was 2014, AJ's, his life took a turn for the worse. He became a suspect in a rape investigation. The North Park Police Department is telling us. So that charge was dropped. I did mention that, but I want to make sure. I didn't remember if I mentioned a year or anything. So it's here we are 5 years later, and look at the case we're looking at now. Hopefully this family does receive the justice they deserve, and this man gets the punishment he deserves. And I hope they seek the death penalty on this one. There's no doubt in my mind he was mentally all there, and he planned this, and he carried this out with intentions for it to end in the way that it did. All right, ladies, I know you guys know something, or guys, y'all know something I missed, so cover it in comments below. People like to read the comments. And I want to say good night, guys. I love you guys, and I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching. Most of all, I'm sending the prayers to those involved with Mackenzie. Good night.